come in from above and see something to this effect. So the fact that you don't have this in view isn't necessarily a problem to me. You likely would have probably some, whether it's an actual detailed nest, or perhaps you'll have some guide pins or blocks in certain locations. That would be good enough for me. There has to be some kind of setup that is loading and applying some tension here, and then for the vision system checks, let me change the color again. I would think it shouldn't be difficult to obviously pick up if you have a left hand or right hand. You would know that right away. So that's definitely something that you could quickly check over again. You should be able to pick up the presence or absence of the attachment flange. And these are extra checks, but with the vision system, as long as you've got a decent resolution, I would think that these things could be found. Before you put the cap in, you should be able to find out if the pulley slug is inside the hole. If it's not there, it should be quite dark. If it's there, you'll pick up the silver kind of metallic view. The cable runs underneath of this pulley, so you can't quite see it. But you definitely should be able to find out if the cable is properly seated into the housing here. You'll be able to pick up this black area that's not off to one side. You should be able to see it in that area there. You should be able to see the end stop to make sure that it's in the proper build orientation. Again, these are just my ideas. That doesn't mean that we get them all, but these are options that we have, and to tell if you can find them or not. And what I'm really focusing on is kind of transition of on a grayscale from light to dark. You should be able to see these features. The pulley, to the underside, there should be enough of a difference there. If the fitting is orientated somehow, it may be possible to look at it there. It may or it may not. I can't answer that right now. For the cables that are very similar, I know there's those two long ones. I think they're the P1LL cables. The P1LL cables that have those long plastic things on there. We may have to. I don't know if they would be in the camera view. They may be somewhere off here. It may be possible through the routing to find out what the differences are, or again focusing on this zone, we may have a couple of different setups in here. If that B length is different on the two cables, perhaps this fixture could help us out. If it physically can't go into one, then the camera will be looking, for it, and it doesn't find it. That might be a possibility. So I can see that as being, camera picture number one, really. The next image, if we wanted to take another image, I could see possibly taking a second picture after you've got the cap on. I don't know if that's really necessary, because you're going to be monitoring for 3 positive rundowns. I'm not overly overly concerned about, but it would be an easy picture to take as well if we wanted just to confirm that we have, in fact, put in on the right cap. That's a possibility. For the part, for the part that has the double pulley, it obviously is going to have, a slug here, and you won't see it underneath. You'd be doing something to this effect too. And they've got the cables that are kind of wound up from underneath. It'll be really important that we focus on this area and this area. Just make sure that there is no cable out of its alignment, and certainly there would have to be some kind of view to make sure that we don't have any cables out of the wrap, kind of just hanging out somewhere out here. And that's the whole premise of having the tension system, is to prevent cables from wanting to come out in the center. And hopefully we can, again, sorry, my sketching isn't the greatest, contain that within a view. So that's I guess the primary goal of all this. I don't know whether or not it's feasible for you to confirm the motor orientation. That might be a challenge, and may not be fully necessary. I'm assuming when we get to the lumbar lines, depending on how the harnessing is installed, it's probably something that can get caught there. But that's the idea of what that's essentially what we're doing here at Shukra. All the checks that are in place here. So any of that doesn't make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
It's good to have one vision system for each station.
Yeah.